you what you're supposed to be looking at. Let's go, oh, Adam said it was going to be okay, and I think I'm going to go. And I guess the biggest risk you have, or the dumbest decision you'll make, is that, I've been waiting to go fishing for 6 weeks, and today's the only day I have to get off, from work. So I have to go today, even though the weather's shit. That is a problem. That brings many, many people unstuck. Say you're taking advice and you put a tag on your canoe or something, or if you race, you get one of our race stickers. That helps if we find your canoe. If the canoe's found without you, we can then look at information and try and find you. If you have a problem and you're out, in a boat or a canoe or anything like that, and you're still in the canoe, but you've broken a paddle, you've broken the steering, you've got a home canoe with the paddles or something, the pedals, and one of the pedals is broken, or you've snapped the rudder underneath, or the chain that pulls it into the gear has broken, and say you're in Moreton Bay and you're out of service, or your phone's flat, or you drop your phone in the water. We also then, through the website, sell PLBs, or personal locator beacons, made by GME, and we used to sell the previous version of the EPIRB. Now we sell the current version of the EPIRB, which is the GNSS EPIRB. A touch more expensive, but it's a better thing. If you're in a boat, if you're a boat owner, you go more than 2 nautical miles offshore, you need an EPIRB. You need, as a boat owner, you need flares, inshore flares, so it's going to be 2 red flares and 2 orange smoke flares. You need a V-sheet, you need a signalling mirror, which, not very much, or, a torch for night time. But if you're not 2 nautical miles offshore, they no longer do offshore flares, they no longer do parachute flares in Queensland. You need an EPIRB. The best thing about EPIRB is it works the entire area of the planet, right? So the previous model EPIRB connects to the satellite, sends a signal to the RCC in Canberra, the Rescue Coordination Centre. They receive an alert saying EPIRB activated. This agent can remove information in. So it'd be, John Smith. He lives at this address. He has a 14-metre cruiser. It looks like this. This is his current picture. This is registration. This is home address, and that sort of stuff. Fantastic. If you're driving across the Nullarbor on land, you get a flat tyre, run out of fuel, break your radiator, blow your engine, blow your gearbox. An EPIRB will work anywhere on the planet. You don't have to be in the water. GPS EPIRBs put out your GPS signal, right? So of where you are. Every 1.8 metres, that number changes. So if I'm sitting on this side of the table, my location changed. So that's how accurate a GPS EPIRB is. They also, on top of the EPIRB, has a strobe, so that it helps from above when the helicopter turns up, because you'll be getting the helicopter if you're in the water. They'll see the strobe, and obviously they've got your approximate location, and they'll fly there, see you in the water, or find the EPIRB. All EPIRBs are turned off manually by a person at the EPIRB. All EPIRBs are turned off at the EPIRB by a person. If you lose one, if you dispose of one in your wheelie bin and it gets set off in the dump, people go through the dump and try and find it and turn it off manually. Right, so you don't dispose of them like that. You can take them to a battery world. They've got a 10-year life. You've got to dispose of them properly. But importantly, if you set off an EPIRB, someone's coming to get it, right? So have a legend on them. You can tie them to yourself. You can tie them to a life jacket. Commercial vessels have a float-free version that they're required to have. So very, very, very good. But it's just, for the sake of what ours are, $350 or $380. We price them so that we look at like panthers like Anaconda. They have a sale on them quite regularly, and we make ours $30 cheaper than that. So we are the cheapest provider of EPIRBs in the country. So realistically, it's fantastic. When I buy them from Anaconda, and I sell them to you guys, I wear the difference. I make it up other ways. So if you want one, buy one, we'll post it to you. For people in southeast Queensland, and particularly even north of that, so say from Bundaberg in Queensland, down through to say Port Stephens, realistically a PLB will cover you anywhere in the water there, unless you're going quite a long way offshore, and I'm talking more than 30-40 kilometres offshore, 25 nautical miles. The PLB still contacts the satellite, still contacts the RCC, and essentially, the information gets sent through. Let's go in there. So, again, because you're getting rescued by one of the government service helicopters, they get you quite quickly. So you've got Rescue 500 out of Archerfield, you've got 511 up the coast, there's helicopters in Cairns, and various places down the New South Wales coast as well. Not only do you get the Gov Air helicopters, you've also got the Surf Life Saving choppers sponsored by Westpac. The difference between the two is the government choppers are an Augusta Westland AW139 rescue chopper. They're a bigger engine, bigger chopper. And last time I was informed, they were $8,000 an hour. $8,000 an hour. So they have two pilots, pilot and a co-pilot. The Gov Air choppers have a doctor, or an in-flight doctor, and an in-flight nurse. The difference between them, you go to the Surf Life Saving choppers, is that they'll have two pilots and a rescue swimmer and an in-flight nurse. Well, they might have an in-flight doctor, but they definitely have a swimmer in them. So, you get picked up in the surf or off the beach or something like that. The guys out of Carrara, I've used a couple of times in my previous existence, and one of the times, the phone rang, answered it, and a guy was in the jumping bar, and they sucked in rope into the jet ski, and they were getting sucked out the tide into the breaking waves. So Rescue 45, Lifesaver 45 out of Carrara, went up, rescued him, pulled one guy out, dropped him on the beach, picked up the other guy, dropped him on the beach, picked up the guy they picked up the first time, put him back in the chopper, and then went and had his stomach cleaned out. When you almost drown, and whether this is at the beach or in the ocean somewhere, you have the issue of secondary drowning. So secondary drowning is essentially you've survived the incident initially, but you get enough salt water in your lungs or in your stomach that you can drown when you go home later. You've had a big day, you go home, thank God I'm alive, you have a rest, and then you die in your sleep. Right? So you have to get checked out. And when you have near misses like that, the people at the beach, the surf lifesavers or the rescue choppers or rescue crews that pick you up, will advise you of that. Now, you've got a tag on your craft or a stick on your craft. You've got an EPIRB so that you can set up location of where you are if you're having an issue. The other issues that you have is that you've got to survive until help arrives. And so part of that is wearing the right flotation equipment. So 1st of December 2024, Marine Safety Queensland changed the rules for canoeists. And so a lot of paddlers used to wear either nothing or they'd wear a 50 newtons buoyancy vest, and now they require the actual life jackets. Even boat operators, as they cross a coastal bar, need to wear a life jacket because that's the most dangerous part of your journey. As we've had, there's a rescue up the coast last week with a guy at Mooloolaba. Unfortunately, didn't survive. But you've got to wear your life jackets across bars. One of the videos I personally love watching is that there's a fishing video done by drone up the coast, and people, videos of people going across the bar, even though the rules have changed and they're commercial operators, based on the rules, no matter if you're in the back of a half cab runabout, or whether you're on the back of a 75-foot motor cruiser, if you're in the open part of the boat, you need to be wearing a life jacket while crossing a coastal bar. So the problem with these operators, and I won't push them in, but if you try hard enough, you can work it out. The drone videos them crossing the bar, and none of the occupants of the boat who are, paying customers are wearing a life jacket. I don't think it's because they're trying to be the cool kids and not trying to force that on their customers, but the rules are the rules. As a commercial operator, there's a term saying nothing will exonerate you. You're essentially guilty. If one of these people die, you're in big trouble. This is Rescue 500, based at Barcherfield. It's the Augusta Westland AW139. Big rescue doors. There's a winch that comes out the side. I think it's the other side. But I, again, worked with this aircraft. We did a rescue in Tippler's Channel. A guy was freestyling a jet ski, got high-sided, came off, landed in the water awkwardly, and then became paralysed. We raced around to the location. He was assessed. We heard the chopper pull up, obviously, because it's very loud. And then we signalled the chopper that we would then meet them at the helicopter landing point, transfer them into the helicopter, and then he was taken away. As part of what I do, I don't check in on people later. I most certainly don't go to funerals.